Many questions still remain after the tragic shooting in Uvalde, Texas. A lot of misinformation has been spread. Even the police have had to update certain things that they've said. So what's true and what isn't? Here's what we know so far. Initial reports that a teacher propped the door open and left it open are false. At 11:27 a.m., a teacher did prop open the door after seeing the shooter crash his truck nearby. But after seeing the shooter with a gun, the teacher called 911, kicked the rock away, and closed the door. The door did fail to lock, however, and that is under investigation as to why the door didn't lock. This all happened within just a couple of minutes. By 11:31, the gunman had broke through the fence and entered the parking lot wearing tactical gear. He started shooting in the parking lot. A minute later, a patrol officer who heard the 911 call drove by the school passing the suspect in the lot. The shooter then managed to get into the school through the door that didn't lock. He then proceeded to shoot 100 rounds into nearby classrooms. By 11:35, just minutes after the shooting began, officers engaged the shooter. 2 officers are wounded at this time. Then there's a big gap. By 12:03 p.m., 19 officers are now on the scene. At this time, a student calls 911. 7 minutes later at 12:10, the same student calls 911 again and informs dispatch that multiple people are dead. At 12:15, a Border Patrol tactical team arrives on the scene. This team is separate from the off-duty Border Patrol officer who left a barber shop to assist with police efforts. He had been called by his wife, who is a teacher at the school. His daughter also attends the school. He grabbed a shotgun, he and his barber headed to the school where he would eventually go in and help evacuate students. But the Border Patrol tactical team is the team that would eventually go in and kill the shooter. The individual off-duty officer did not kill the shooter, but did help assist students in evacuating. About the same time as the tactical team arrives, the student calls 911 again and says there are 8 to 9 students still alive. They're playing dead while the gunman waits out the police. These calls, it should be noted, are incredibly brave, as reports indicated the gunman may have killed at least one student for simply trying to call 911. At 12:21, the shooter fires at the door. Officers move closer to the location. Gunshots can be heard on those 911 recordings. At 12:36, that same student calls 911 yet again. Remember, this is 15 long, agonizing minutes that have gone by. 7 more minutes pass, it's now 12:43, and the student, the same one, begs dispatch to send in the police. It's unclear at this point in time what police were waiting for during those long, grueling minutes, whether or not they knew anyone was alive in the classroom, or any other factors that may have weighed into their decision-making. The kids were pretending to be dead, so it's possible the officers believed they were just waiting out the gunman and there were no lives to be saved. But clearly, as the 911 call shows, the students were living through one of the worst scenarios imaginable, seeing their classmates on the floor, dead, having witnessed their executions. Trying to hold it all together to save their own lives at any age, let alone 10, is unfathomable. At 12:50 p.m., the Border Patrol tactical unit obtains keys to the classroom from a janitor, and they enter the classroom. They engage the shooter and kill him. The student who called 911 multiple times survives. But questions still remain. Why did they wait so long to go in? Could they have saved any lives? Would going in while students were still trapped in with the gunman put those who actually survived in harm's way? There is an investigation underway, and officials are holding off on further comments until that investigation is completed. But shifting details have sparked controversy. For example, as mentioned earlier, the door was not left propped open by a teacher as initially stated. Steve McCraw, Department of Public Safety Director, initially said that that was the case, but now they do admit that the teacher did close the door, but it didn't lock. They're investigating why the door failed to lock. They also said the gunman was confronted by a school officer when he first arrived on scene. Now they're admitting he entered the building unobstructed. They also walk back the claim that officers had immediately gone into the school and engaged the shooter and that they had pinned him down into the classroom and they were waiting for a tactical unit to get in and kill him. Now they're saying they were unable to enter the classroom and stop the rampage despite the lives at risk. They also said he was in the school for 40 minutes to an hour. Now it's clear that it was over an hour. And perhaps receiving the most scrutiny is Pete Arredondo, the Uvalde school police chief in charge of the response. Reports said he wasn't cooperating with investigations, but he denied those allegations, saying he's been in contact with the Texas Department of Public Safety each and every day. Adding to the frustration was Arredondo being sworn in to city council in a closed-door ceremony. He'd been elected to city council earlier in the month, and the quiet ceremony, they say, was done, quote, out of respect for the families, end quote. For now, answers to these questions will have to wait, as families are allowed time to grieve and the investigation is allowed time to take place. But once they've laid their precious loved ones to rest, expect these families to pursue the facts of what happened and expect them to pursue holding anyone accountable for their actions if it's called for. Continue to pray for all those impacted by this horrible, horrible tragedy.